I want to play you a clip of
Yes.
Dan Dockett
Really?
talking
Like Dan.
about Pat McAfee
Huh?
and who his enemies are at ESPN. I found this
Hmm.
very fascinating, kind of
Yeah.
confirming an argument I've been making here that Stephen A. Smith and the BLM crowd at ESPN are aligned against Pat
Mm.
McAfee. Here's Dan Dockett.
Jimmy Patel is well aware of the perception that Pat McAfee gets held to a different standard by the rest of ESPN's talent, claiming McAfee gets to play by a different set of rules than his colleagues coming up. Here's the deal now. See, McAfee's the enemy at ESPN, not among Patero and Burke Magnus and the rest of the suits. No. He is the enemy of the ESPNers that are African American that are siding with Stephen A. Smith. True story. I've been told that by him. He knows that. We all know that. I've been told he's the enemy of the African. He's told me he is the enemy of most of the talent.
Ooh.
Mm.
Uh-oh.
And so just to be clear, like McAfee made his bones as a Colts punter and a Indianapolis media personality. Dockett has worked in sports talk radio, based in suburbs around Indianapolis for a long time. These guys know each other and have known each other for a long time. Dockett has a lot of credibility here. Obviously, Dockett used to work at ESPN. He's got a lot of credibility here. Steve, your thoughts on confirmation that we have a racial civil war inside of ESPN? Pat McAfee is Robert E. Lee, and Stephen A. Smith fancies himself as Ulysses S. Grant. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I like Dan Dockett, very outspoken guy. I find what he said to be confirmation of what we've talked about. Look, to think that there are large portions of the ESPN talent base that do not look with envy over the role, power, and influence that Pat McAfee has, and they probably look at him as a symbol of, if not white supremacy, I want to make this clear, but white privilege, because he gets away with other things. Well, I hate to tell you this, guys, he created his own brand. Unlike most of you guys, he actually doesn't need ESPN. And with power comes influence. And Jason, as someone that has watched College Game Day since its very inception, I have to give him credit because in the beginning it was kind of awkward. In many ways, he has saved that show. The energy that he has brought has made that show kind of a newer version of it, and it's working. And he look, again, the difference between Pat McAfee and those people opposing him is Pat McAfee can walk into Bristol right now, turn in his resignation, and he would still be Pat McAfee, the big brand, and he'd make a great living. The others can't. So a lot of this is envy. A lot of it is jealousy.
If you're having any concerns over how much you're paying for health insurance, click the link in my bio to schedule a call with the amazing team at Crowd Health. Crowd Health is revolutionizing healthcare. Pay your healthcare bills without the need for insurance. Click the link in my bio, schedule a call with Crowd Health today. You're using the word others when I think there's a tiny bit more interesting point. Stephen A. Smith can't. Stephen A. Smith is an ESPN creation. If Stephen A. Smith had to survive on his talent and not the marketing of ESPN, 30 years or 20 years or how many ever years he's been working at ESPN of marketing and promoting Stephen A., he would be nothing. He would be the guy with a false resume, lying about his athletic career in high school and college. He would be someone that says, hey, they should have kicked that field goal on third down, so if they missed it, they could kick it again. He would be the idiot that people would be laughing at. But because ESPN has told you and beat a drum for 25 years, he's important, people have bought that branding. Whereas Pat McAfee, to his credit, built up the Pat McAfee brand all by himself. It exists on YouTube with or without ESPN. I looked up the other day, just on a random day of the week, they had 100,000 live concurrents. Skip Bayless couldn't get that at the end of his time at FS1 with a lot of promotion and marketing behind him. Stephen A. can't do that. Yes, Pat McAfee stands on his own 2 feet. And I know many of you, when I made the analogy comparing him to Robert Edley, it sounds like I'm taking a pot shot. I'm just talking about the way he's positioned at ESPN. I'm really making a point that the Civil War is a bit more complicated than the way it's been presented.
Jason, the only problem is the North won the Civil War, just so we're sure. I don't want to get that mixed up.
And
here.
look,
the North won. The South did not rise again, just to be clear.
Right. And just to be clear, they didn't win because of superior strategy. They won because they had numbers. And Lincoln was a lot of people were willing to die, to me, fighting for the right cause as it relates to slavery, fighting for the wrong cause as it relates to states' rights, in my opinion. So the Civil War was just more complicated. Pat McAfee, all I'm saying, more strategic, standing on his own 2 feet, bit more courageous than Stephen A. Smith. And all the people that are upset with him, a lot of their jealousy is that he's a self-made personality that's not dependent on the overlords without again, I'm just going to keep it clear, keep it crystal clear. Take all the people that are on Stephen A. Smith's side, Stan Verrett, people at Landscape or Anscape, whatever that is. They know that they're there on charity, that like Anscape doesn't work, doesn't have an audience. They write a bunch of sidebars. It's not relevant. The charity of Jimmy Pitaro, Disney, Bob Iger, all of that is why they're standing there and have jobs, and they hate Pat McAfee because he's standing there because he built up his legs and he can stand there on his own 2 feet. It's pure jealousy. And Stephen A. being at the forefront of that, it tells you something about Stephen A. Smith that he's this anti Pat McAfee. It tells you that Stephen A. is supremely jealous, insecure, knows he can't stand on his own 2 feet, and wants another puppet in Pat McAfee's shoes, not someone that can stand on their own 2 feet. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.